Let's review the coding challenge, guys. First of all, intermediate. The first question was arguably the most complicated one. That's the one you skip at the beginning. I noticed that. Yeah, you didn't want to struggle on the very first question, which makes sense. Yeah? If any of the questions is complicated, let's leave it to the end. I think that strategy is completely sensible. So what we got here, we got two arguments, two celebrities, and we want to find who is the younger one. They could have born on the same date. Yeah, we should also consider that scenario. So again, two arguments. I'll call them celebrity, celeb 1, celeb 2. And now it's all about dates.
Sorry to interrupt, Ricardo.
Say it again?
Sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Just on the YouTube, it looked like he's a...
We didn't catch that, Luigi. It's not on YouTube. It is.
You know, for the streaming.
Sorry, I think people are telling here that it is on YouTube, so please refresh. Yeah, is it?
Is it right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, cool.
Maybe, okay. If someone of the guys could send me a link. Okay, now it is, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I refreshed a few times, now it...
Coding.com/live, Luigi. That's the link. Cool, so who is younger? We got two celebrities. It's all about dealing with dates, right? We need to compare which date is more older, which date is older, yeah, if you accept the expression. So, I'm going to create a function called get time. I'm not convinced about the name, so I will rename it later on. So it will receive a date of birth, yeah, which is that, and it will return the time. Yeah, you know the time is the number of milliseconds since, if I'm correct, the 1st of January of 1970. Yeah, so that means that the smaller the time is, the older the person is. Yeah, because the smaller the time is, the closer to 1970, something like that, if I'm correct. Right, so first of all, let's create date object. The problem with date object is the format. You remember, year, month, and days. However, here we got on the other way around. Date, month, and year. So we need to swap the elements. There are different ways to do that. Probably my favorite one is to use a split. So give me the tokens, yeah, and then reverse it, and then join again. Space? No space. I want to get the tokens, day, month, and year, reverse them to get year, month, and day, and then join them again. So that will give me a valid date string in JavaScript. And because there's a valid date string, I can create a date object out of it, and eventually I can return date.getTime. Yeah. So now I can create two variables, celeb1 time equals get time of celeb1.date of birth. Yep. Again, with the second celebrity. So I just need to compare numbers. Return. Let's use ternary. If they are the same age, something like that, yeah? Yeah, with exclamation. Else, if celeb1 time is smaller than celeb2 time, which is the youngest one? 1 or 2? Correct. I think if this number is smaller, that means it's older. That means that person is younger, I believe. And if not, we'll just swap the order. And then if that's the case, assuming that that person is younger, then we should display celeb2.name is younger, I think. Say it again? Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry. Like that, right? And else on the other way around. Yeah? What do you think? Will this work or not?
No, the last one you put else.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So let's see if that works. It does work. Yeah. So again, just to recap, here the complexity is just getting the time. The smaller the time is, the older the person is, because that means it's closer to the past, right? So once you manage to get the time, which is the chicken, the meat of the exercise is here, then it's just comparing two numbers. Yeah. Any question? No? As I said, that was probably the most complicated question on the intermediate. Let me see what you did here. So, yep.
More than two.
Yeah.
Then, in that case, remember the 170. It would be better because the maximum, just the maximum, the youngest.
You want to use?
If you have more than two.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to put a lot of if this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it became very long, no?
Yeah.
So it's not better to find sort of the maximum number.
Yeah. If instead of two, you got an array of 20 people, you may have to use sort or math.max or things like that.
Remember the get the times
Yeah.
in the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. So Gagwa, look, he did literally the same thing, as you can see. Yeah, it's actually the same thing. What's that? Only works for. Don't really get that.
No, this one I like. It's Stack Overflow.
Oh, he's comparing against years. That's a bit weird. Yeah, no, that's not good, right? What happened if they were born in the same year but in different months? One is younger than the other, yeah? Yeah, so that's not great. Also, I'm struggle to follow the if-else, the ternary, because look, that's correct. All right, if, but then else, another condition in the same, yeah, so that should be moved to a new line, just for readability purposes. And last thing, every time you need to do the same thing twice, please create a function. Otherwise, you're repeating the same code twice. This is not great. It works, at least for this use case. For Luigi. So for Luigi, so he got the first date object, the second date object, and then, interesting, look at the way Luigi is comparing. So he's not even getting the time. Yeah, so he's comparing date objects, which is correct. Yes, in JavaScript, if you compare date objects, JavaScript knows how to deal with that. Feels a bit not that explicit because we're comparing objects, so it's a bit weird. But anyway, the idea is correct, right? That's how it works. Again, look here. Look in that particular case. Look at how many times we are doing split reverse, split reverse, split reverse, blah blah blah. If we change the algorithm, we have to change it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's why it's better to create a function to encapsulate the logic. Yeah? Also, apart from that, yeah, it's a bit hard to read because look, if, but what is that if closing? You see that parenthesis is closing on the second line, but the indentation feels wrong. Yeah, it's all about readability, even though the algorithm is correct, of course. So bucket is again comparing years, so 6 ignoring the months and the days. Yeah, I may change the exercise to make explicit mention that we should compare the date completely, not only the years. Bilius, again, that's. I know that this is what you prefer. I understood that. I hope you understand that that's not the correct way to do it. Yeah, it should be moved to the right-hand side. At least he created a getDate function, which is great because that simplifies, helps to encapsulate the code a bit. Yeah. So yeah, I like it. Good. Apart from the indentation, Walter. Yes, again, it's pretty much the same thing, but he's doing the same thing twice. But yeah, at least it's pretty readable. Indentation is perfect. That helps clearly. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah. So again, that question was tough. Yeah. For intermediate, it wasn't obviously the most easiest one. Anything else? Yep.
Yeah, how should I improve my indentation and everything? Because I was not sure. I know to complain that I tried to put the values and I couldn't find where to put the space and try to make it look nice.
Yes. Put the symbols
At the end of the line.
at the end of the line. Correct.
End of the line, so
Yeah.
statement and-
Yeah. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. Cool. Question number 2. Bowel count. That's a good question. That's a really classic intermediate question. We haven't covered that one yet, right?
Yeah,
We did? Okay, fantastic. Then let's skip it. Thank you, Sule. Question number 3. Ooh, nice. Nice. Merge. Actually, wait, give me a second. I would like to go back to the previous one. Back the bowel count. Yeah. And the reason is, guys, don't copy the code from Stack Overflow because it's immediate. I can immediately tell you who copied it, right? In other words, if I go to Google and I type JavaScript get bowels count, and I click on the first element, on the first link, yeah, this is what some of you did, yeah? That's not good, because code that you copy is code that you don't understand, generally speaking, yeah? So I prefer you to spend more time, even to offer a not that elegant solution, but at least something that you did and you understand, yeah? And the thing is, when I see this sort of things, it's clearly, you know, because that's not the natural way of thinking. That feels a bit weird. I will never do that. Anyway, question number 3, merge arrays. So we have a couple of arrays, and we have to combine them, yeah, which is fairly easy. How do we combine arrays in JavaScript, guys?
Concat.
Wrong. Because if you use concat, means that you are not reading the instructions. Please use the res parameter. Yeah?
Okay, so I didn't.
You can, you're right, Billy. Strictly speaking, you can use concat. However, it's not what the exercise is asking you to do. Array 1, array 2. And then what? Return what? An array inside 3 dots. Array 1, comma. Yeah, sexy, right? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. It's, to me, one of the best things of modern JavaScript. Using REST. I think, of course, it works. It's one line. Easy, 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 easy. Yeah. That was much more difficult in the past. Before spread, before concat was more, you need to loop manually, you know, not anymore. Right, so what you do here, say Gawa again, concat. So 2 problems here. First of all, if you do that, you can simply return, right? Return array1.concat. And the second problem is he's not using the rest parameter, like Lucia is doing. Yeah.
So we can return just the array.
Yeah, of
You don't
course.
have to,
No.
for example, okay, array 1
No.
equal to array 1
No. You see? And that's brilliant because is our function pure or impure?
This one is a pure function.
It's a pure function, correct? It's not modifying the arrays. Yeah, whatever the arrays are, I will be respected. That's why it's so sexy. So everyone did pretty much the same thing. Wait. Right. Okay. Okay, we got a few approaches here. So again, you were expected to use the REST operator. It's interesting for Bucket. She did a mix of both. You see? I have few complaints on that approach. First of all, naming conventions. Arrays. Why arrays?
Because from the question I thought you would have maybe more than two in the future. You might have a series of arrays. The other results only work if there's two arrays.
Okay.
But if you have more than two,
Yeah.
my solution.
I respect that point of view. I think the idea is correct. However, again, you didn't read the instructions. We received two arrays.
I would say that, like, in the testing, it can be done to test that you use concat. Possibly.
Right.
I made
All good for Pelin and Walter. And what happened with Sule? All right, look. Technically speaking, he is using REST, but that feels a bit overcomplicated, right? So props, like if that was React. So props is props is a multi-dimensional array, so it's mind-blowing already, yeah.
Honestly, first of all, I try if it works, and then if it works, I change it, but I submit it straight, like to not lose points in testing, and I forgot that I wrote props. But it wasn't my intention at all.
The thing is, this is working fine just out of coincidence. Because look at how mind-blowing this is. So what type of data props is? It's a multi-dimensional array. It's an array of arrays. Yeah, it's not having two separate arrays. So Sule is building an array of two elements, and each element is a sub-array. And then he's using reduce, but because this is a multi-dimensional array and he's not passing any default value, the first accumulator is the first sub-array and value is the second sub-array. Yeah? So he's then just using a single iteration. It's something is hopefully not, but anyway.
It would work even if you pass like 3 arrays.
Don't think so. I don't think so. If you pass, the thing is that looks very dynamic, but I think, and I'm not 100% sure, if you pass 3 arrays, because that will run 2 times, maybe it may work, yes. Yes, it may work, yes. But the thing is over-engineered. It's assuming something that may never ever happen, right? Anyway. It's good, don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing massively. I'm just thinking that, I particularly find that code, the code that Pelling wrote, much easier to follow than the code above, yeah? Anyways, question number 4. Count the capital letters. That's a good question. There are many different ways to solve that. How we cover this one? No? Okay, let's do that then. So we got a string, a sentence if you want, yeah? And we want to find the capitals. How many characters are in capitals? Yeah? For instance, jQuery is too old. The Q is capital, we got 1 one capital. Yeah. So, first of all, argument name. I'll call it, I don't know, string or sentence. Up to you. Yeah. Obviously, don't call it array or date. Yeah. How we agree on that? That will be absolutely confusing. So I got my sentence. I'm going to return something straight away. As usual, I'm going to transform it, whatever I got into an array. So I can iterate. I can go from the beginning to the end.
But you have the space.
I'll look after the space in a minute. So then I'm going to use reduce, because with reduce, I can simply do that. Look, I can iterate here, and if the character is a capital, then increase the counter. So I'll initialize the count to 0, obviously. Yeah. So then we can do return is character equal to character dot to uppercase, then return increase the counter. Otherwise, just return the count, whatever it was. But obviously, as Walter suggested, we should look after spaces, because a space is not capital. That doesn't make sense, yeah? So we need to change that condition. If the character is the same than capital, and the character is not an empty space, then increase the counter. So let's do a bit of iteration. If my string is jQuery, yeah, as an example, so what will be iteration 0? What will be the first value of count? Iteration 1, sorry. 0, correct. The character will be J, correct. Return 0, correct. Good stuff. Iteration number 2. What will be the value of the count? 0, correct. The character Q, capital Q. Return, correct. Iteration number 3. What will be the value of the count? 1, character U, return 1. Yeah, you get the idea. I will return 1 until the end. Yeah, and that's it. So to me, this is a valid approach. Obviously, there are many you could have used for each. Yeah, I mean, many different ways to solve it, but you can see that that one does the trick easily. Any question? Yeah. Say it again.
Probably this one.
Yeah.
Me. A clue for an extra challenge.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if I were you, the way to me that's all good. I will have personally have created another function called isCapital. Why? Because it receives a character, and then look, it can return that, and based on this, I can now simplify that a lot. And if I do that, I can probably even move everything to one line. Look. And then I can just, yeah, like that. That's it. Super simple, super sexy, and super works. Doesn't make sense. No, that's just readability. Yeah, readability. So whenever your if condition is a bit complicated, I always like to create a function. Yeah. So then if something goes wrong, I can add a breakpoint here and see if the problem is part of that function or is somewhere else. You know, divide and conquer. Cool. So what you did here? This is question number, I don't remember, 3, 4. How many capitals? Here you go. Yeah. So Gagwa using array X. yeah, which is obviously it's very powerful. Yeah, this is a good example of when using regex is good. Luigi. Ooh. Look. Lucia, not Luigi. Sorry. I like that. So here, what Lucia is doing is she's essentially removing the spaces.
Because I tried to put the other line, but he told me, you have a lot of sentences.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. So the thing is, she's removing the spaces, so then she has a sentence only with consonants and vowels, no spaces. So then it's a bit simpler. That if condition is a bit simpler. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Not against that. Just remember that instead of doing total equal total plus 1, you can do total plus plus. Yeah. Cool. Classic. All good. Wendy. Interesting. Interesting. That's completely different. So Wendy, she's getting individual characters, and then for each character, look at that. She's checking. Yeah, it is, it's interesting approach. Yeah, if the character is greater or equal than A, capital A, or smaller or equal than capital Z. Yeah, so it's good. It's different approach. Yeah, this is something that Helder already tried. You see, he was trying to achieve the same kind of behavior. And so for Sule, yeah, it's very similar to Lucia. He's using for off. Yeah, remember Sule, the semicolons. And for Pelling, pretty much the same thing. Filter, just keep the capitals, then join them. Why Pelling you join the array? You don't have to join the array, right? There is no difference. If I remove that line, it will work. Because you can get the length of an array or the length of a string. And for Luigi, he's removing the spaces and then so he's using filter to keep only the capitals and then get the size of that array with only capitals. Yeah, and here the same thing, array of characters, keep the capitals and then the length. For Gamil, yeah, you see, all good, again, using a regex. If I were Gamil, I will simply return that, yeah? I will type return here, like Gawa did actually, you see, for Gawa. I know, he didn't do that neither, no, he split it. I mean, I would have personally have inline it, yeah? Return, string.match, blah, blah, blah. Just a personal suggestion. And so bucket, what's that, bucket?
No.
So I'm getting rid of all the spaces.
Yep.
I'm not typing for each.
But why backslash s instead of, yes, writing a space here? Yeah, well, anyway. Yeah, so she's getting rid of the spaces. And then first, why first?
Oh, I don't want because if the word starts with a capital.
Yeah. If the word starts with capital. The first letter. But this is not getting the first letter. This is getting the sentence without the spaces.
So why like this?
I don't know. Don't ask me. You wrote that code. Eh? So this is again why readability is so important. Using a wrong naming conventions makes it completely complicated to understand.
There was absolutely no need for the second line.
Cool. And so for Bilius, he's getting the capitals and then the length. You see, I like the idea of creating a function. Get capitals. At least I know that that function will return the capitals. So I like the approach. Walter, he creates an array of words, he joins them, and then he creates an array of individual characters, and then he adds the capitals, he keeps the capitals and gets the length, yeah? Yeah, I'm not against that. I like the, you know, at least indentation is perfect, and I like the sequence, yeah? Split, join, one.
Just for the remove the space.
Yeah, I know. I know. Cool. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. Did you miss anything? No? Any question? No? Cool, great. Good stuff. And the last one. Oh, find the most popular country. We did it? Okay, well, if we did it, then we'll skip it. No? Okay, let's. Yeah, that's true. The repeated city. Yeah. Wendy's right. Okay, so let's do this one. So find the most populated country. We have a list of countries, and we need to find the most populated one. Yeah. So we could use sort. We could use, probably sort will do the trick, right? So I would like to sort the array, and then get the first element, something like that. So. Argument name. Countries, yeah? Don't call it fruits, yeah? So then, return countries dot sort, yeah? So I got country A, comma, country B, and then something. I'll go back to this point in a minute, to this line. But the thing is, I want to get the most populated one. The name of the most populated one. So to get the name of the most populated one, how do you get the first element of the array? 0. Dot name. If you don't like that, you can create a variable to do that, and then return variable 0.name. Yeah, whatever you prefer. So then, let's sort the population, right? Can we do return country A dot population minus country B dot population? What do you think? Correct. We have two potential issues. And let me remark potential. One is we're dealing with strings. So will JavaScript be able to perform this sort of operations?
The issue works. JavaScript doesn't transform it when you try to make a plus button.
Well, that's one problem. The second problem is country A population minus country B population is A minus B or B minus A? Yeah. Remember, if the order is ascending, it's A minus B. If the order is descending, it's B minus A. Remember the mnemotechnics. Ascending A. Yeah. So if you want to sort alphabetically, I minus B. So is that correct or not? Right, let's see what happened. It turns out that the Vatican is the most populated country, right? Which doesn't make any sense. So it's clearly on the other way around. V minus A. So if we do that with modern JavaScript, you can see that it does work, yeah? Yeah. So even though that's correct, I don't really like it because it's assuming, a few things. I personally prefer to do that. Yeah, and then because I'm sending a message that I really know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm transforming. And if I were you, instead of doing the same thing twice, I will create a function called getPopulation that receives a country, and that function returns number country.population. Why? Because Now, you can simply do get population country A minus get population country B. Or the other way around, B minus A, right? So we agree on that. That's it. That would be probably my favorite approach. And obviously we can get rid of the return statement. Make it slightly more readable, hopefully. Yep. And that should work. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, it's a missing. Oh, yes, that's wrong, and that's wrong. Yeah, all these sort of things. That's it. That's it. I got a question now. What happened if we got that and I don't want to change that line? What will you change to make the example work? The zero. Instead of zero, what? 1. Okay, 1. Why 1 and not 27?
You have to put length, countries to length.
Here. Countries, length.
No, countries not.
Countries minus 1. No. Dot length minus 1. Like that? Yeah, I think that's correct, yeah? So it will be on the other way around. The most populated country will be at the end of the array. So then we go to the last element, yeah? Let's see if that works. Oh. Right. Here you go. It took a while. But yeah, it does work, yeah? Cool. Nice. Any question? No? Let me check your code quickly. So Gawa, you see, that line is completely unnecessary, yeah? We should do either one or the other. But the thing is, if we sort, there is nothing we need to find. Yeah? If we sort, let's get the first element. For Lucia, she did the same thing without converting to numbers, but it's all good. For Wendy, you see, I can see indentation here is wrong straight away, yeah? I mean, please, if you want to do that, add a parenthesis here, and apart from that, that should be moved to a new line, yeah? Because otherwise, you see, it's too much stress to go to the right and see what are you doing afterwards, yeah? Just about readability, as usual. And for Sule, so again, the same thing. Why Sule? Why short and then find? That's not necessary, mate. I mean, and it's...
Because you remember that you sent me just now that to get the position is at the end of the function 0 and not the length.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But the thing is, this is doing nothing, right? Props not find. So how many times that line will run? Oh.
I know, but I just found out this morning how to get the first element.
So, yeah, if I can bring the screen back. Hey, here you go. So, the thing is, that doesn't make sense, right? Because find will stop as soon as the condition is truthy. Because countries, semantics, props, wrong. Countries, wrong, right? So this is a list of countries, and this is in individual country, right? So if this is an individual country.name, it will be a string. That will be always truthy. Italy, France, whatever, yeah? That's why we'll return truthy, and that's why it will stop looking for countries. So props.find will return the first country, because we already sorted it. The first country is the most populated one, and then you get the name, yeah? So, yeah, it's all about semantics, I believe. For Pelin, yeah, so country A, country B, yeah, it's all good here. For Luigi, the same thing, country B, country A. Yeah, so you can see the small difference. So, and I like that. I like what Luigi did here. So he's first getting this list of sorted countries, and then afterwards he gets the 0, the first one dot name. I find this strategy quite readable. I like it. And then what else? Ooh, reduce. Interesting. So using reduce value, all right. Okay, so there is an object here with the name of the country and the population of that country. So first of all, I'll personally rename that instead of value to population, because value doesn't give me any clue about what sort of data we're dealing with. And I will clearly rename value with country, and I will rename array with countries. Yeah. So it's readability. But ignoring that, I don't really like, to be honest, the readability of the exercise. I do like the approach of using reduce. Yeah. I think it's important, even though sometimes reduce is a bit too much. In the long term, it's the most sophisticated method. Yeah? So it's good to play with it, even if sometimes it may not be the most relevant looping strategy. Ooh, bouquet. Using map, pop. What's pop? Oops, pop array. Yeah. So, using map, you see the square bracket notation here is unnecessary as well, yeah? We use square bracket notation when we don't know the property. When we want to dynamically change the attribute we want to access. However, if we always want to access the population, we can simply do country.population. I believe you may get an elegance issue if you do that. And then using parse int, so she's essentially creating a new array only with the populations, and then you find the maximum, and that will give you, correct, you get the index of the maximum, and then you access on the original array. Yeah, I mean, it's good, it's fine, I'm not against that. Yeah. And then Walter who probably got a penalty because of the length of the line, a bit of sort. Again, readability. Readability is just something we need to improve. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If you go to a job interview, that's the thing is that gives a bad feeling, even if you know how to solve something, because that's the easiest thing, right? I know sometimes it's a bit tricky to think on good names, but if we want to talk about countries, clearly don't call it array, Walter. Call it countries. Yeah? Apart from that, so Walter is just doing the classic calculation, right, of sorting the array, and then take the first one and then the name. Yeah? So it's all good. Cool. I think that's it.
I play a little bit of a Street Fighter. Minus, I try to be bigger than.
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, it's a bit off topic, but that's a bad excuse, right? I understand that you don't get the perfect naming and the perfect algorithm on the first attempt. But that's why you get the blue button, right? With the blue button, you can practice, you can try, and once it passes, then they say, okay, let's just now rename the variables a bit to make it more readable. Cool, thank you, guys.
When we see the green screen, we just
Yeah. But that's something that I believe you should train, right? If it's green, fantastic. Then it's just about renaming, yeah? So it's not going to get much worse. Cool. Any additional consideration, guys, regarding intermediate? No? Do you want to do a couple of questions on expert? Yes, fantastic.
One thing actually, like using a filter.
Yeah? Filter?
Yeah, you could have.
Filter?
To find the country, like.
No, I don't think you can use filter that easily. Because filter is based on a condition. What's your
But for me, I tried to use reduce, which I kind of failed after I found the system max.
Yeah.
Using mathmax, which
Mathmax, yeah.
I haven't had enough time to rewrite.
Yeah.
The condition returns.
Yep. So filter works well when we play with absolute conditions. For instance, give me all the countries which population is about 10 million. Filter will work perfectly, yeah? But when the condition is relative to the other elements, give me the country the most populated or the least populated. So that's relative to the other elements, right? That's why I don't think filter here works as well. Anyway, expert, guys. It's the first time. Did we review expert last time? Not really, right? No? Okay, so let's do a bit of expert. At least the first couple of questions. Let's do the first couple of questions. Ooh, yeah, I like it because the first recursion, right? Recursion it's interesting because in terms of lines of code, it's very simple. It's maybe 3 lines, super short. But yeah, it's a bit mind-blowing. You need to have some sort of abstract thinking. So, I'll show you how simple this is in reality. So, we want to calculate the total. That means we need to add 1 plus minus 2 plus 4 plus 3. Very simple. The problem is, we don't know the structure of our object. Our object... Why? You can train afterwards, right? There are 5 questions about recursion, even though the pattern is always the same. Look, you got an object, which is a nested object. You don't know how many properties, you don't know anything. Eh? So look, I'm going to be a bit brave, and I'm going to return object.values. Why? Because that will give me 1, and that, and 3, yeah? So I'm going to reduce, oh, where I am, oh, yeah. So I would like to use reduce, and as part of reduce, I'll have first of all the total, and then value. So if I will have, let's initialize the total to 0, yeah? So if I will have just an array, sorry, I'll know it with numbers, it will be as simple as doing return total plus value, yeah? And that's it. However, the problem is value may be a number, in which case that may work perfectly, but value may be a nested object. If it's an object, what we need to do is to invoke the function again, yeah? This is recursion, a function that calls itself. Goes deeper and deeper and deeper until something happens, in which case we go back. So, the thing is, we need to check if value is a number or an object. So we can do that. Type of, you remember type of? That's on the beginner training, yes? Type of value equals object, then do something, we'll see in a minute. Otherwise, if it's a number, simply return total plus value. And here, that's the tricky part. If it's an object, the total will be whatever the total was plus the result of invoking the function again, passing the value. That's it. That's literally it. Yeah? So let's try that. It does work. Yeah? Let's do some classic iteration journey. So let me... Yeah, we can play with pretty much the same example. So imagine that our object is A1, B, C minus 2, D, 4, comma, E, 1 minus 2, 4, 3, to have this literally same example. So this is our object. And now my question is, or let me rephrase that, dimension 1, iteration 1. What's the value of total? Zero, correct. What's the value of value? 1, correct. Return 1, correct. And now, iteration 2. Sorry, dimension 1. We're still on, we haven't loop yet, still plain loop. iteration 2. What's the value of total? 1, correct. What's the value? A what? That's the object, that's correct. That's correct, that's the tricky part. Now, value is not a number anymore, it's an object. It's not that simple. We cannot add a number plus an object. So what do we return? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Because we need to jump to a new dimension. Dimension 2. So on dimension 2, iteration 1. What's the value of total? 0, correct. Correct, 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 correct. What's the value? -2, correct. Return what? -1. Why -1? -2. 0 plus -2. Yeah? So then, next iteration, dimension 2, iteration 2. What's the total? -2, correct. What's the value? 4, correct. Return? 2, that's correct. What happened on dimension 2, iteration 3? There is none, right? We just got 2 iteration. So that means that that dimension is over, and that dimension will return 2, because that's the result of adding -2 plus 4. In other words, here, it takes the control back. It's free, because it's total. The total was 1 plus what that function return? 2, correct, correct. 1 plus 2, which is 3, correct. Yeah? So now that means that we can go to dimension 1, iteration 3. What's the total? 3, correct. What's the value? 3, correct. Return 6, that's it. Yeah? Obviously, we may have multi-dimensions. So D could be another object, it could go deeper and deeper. But hey, the algorithm will work. Yeah? Actually, look, that happened. On the second question, we have an object that has another object, that has another object. It's more complicated, but that still works. That's the beautifulness of recursion. It doesn't matter how complex our object is. It will always go deeper and deeper and deeper until the leaf case is matched. Yeah? Where we just have numbers, in which case we can deal with them easily.
So by dimension, you mean like the level of
Yeah. Dimension is something that I made up, right? I don't think that's the technical way to describe it. You can call it matrix level, or I don't know how to call it. Right, so this is recursion, and this is how the majority of the recursion questions are. Yeah. It will always work, correct. So all the questions about recursion are pretty much the same, yeah? It's fair to say that this is probably the simplest one. There is another one that is find the maximum number or the minimum number. This is a bit more complicated, but this one is easy. So if you want to start with recursion, please practice and do the same thing. Drop the algorithm and then add some comments below, trying to, understand what's going on each iteration of the journey. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, recursion is something common in programming, yeah? Do you remember when we talked that copying an array is not that simple because arrays are copied by reference? Thanks to recursion, we can do a proper nested copy of an array because we can go deep on each element of the array and copy. Yeah? So what you did here, we got 2 solutions, Nico and Walter. So Nico, so he creates a variable total and then repeats, so he's invoking the function, and if he finds a object, then calls the function again. So he has a variable total and he's just incrementing the value, yeah? Which is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I hope, Nico, you've seen that. Yeah? Yeah? Correct. Using reduce is a piece of cake, yeah? Super simple. And Walter, yeah, using reduce, as you can see. So he's doing on the other way around. Number, right? If it's a number, then oh, right. Okay, yeah, no. It's pretty much the same thing. So he creates a variable with a new value to add to the total. If it's a number, the new value will be that number. If it's an object, first he needs to go through the nested loop, yeah? Again, indentation, Walter. Please look after indentation. But yeah, but that's all good apart from that. Anything else? Recursion? No? Let's do the last one for today. And the last one, oh, I like it. That's not that complicated. Get multiples of. Nice. So we have an array of numbers as the first argument. No, an array of string representing numbers. And we want to calculate all the multiples of each number up to a given limit. So what are the multiples of 5 until 23? 5, 10, 15, and 20. 5, 10, 15, and 20. What are the multiples of 7 up to 23? 7, 14, and 21. Not 28, because 28 is beyond the limit, yeah? And actually, at the end, we have to sort the array. There is nothing new. I'm not going to show you, oh, look, there is a method in JavaScript. No, it's just reusing what we already know, yeah? So that requires a bit of thinking. We don't even have the function anymore, right? We need to type everything by ourselves. Yeah, that's welcome to the amazing world of expert. So function get multiples of, so two arguments, numbers, and max. Yeah, let's call it max. So then, I'll do something. I'm going to, again, try to do everything in one go. Return numbers dot reduce. So for each number, I want to get all the multiples, yeah? So reduce, then I'll call it multiples, maybe, and then I'll have my number. Before going any further, at the end, I want to sort it, yeah? So I'll use sort because I want to sort it ascendingly. So I got number A and number B. So then what? Number A minus B or B minus A? A minus B, B minus A. B minus A, say BBN. What do you think? B minus A will sort the array descendingly. A minus B, correct. A minus number B. So now, here. So I want to build an array of multiples, yeah? So I'll initialize it to an empty array. And before I forget, remember reduce, always return something at the end. So I'll drop it there. And now that's the problem. And now I want to get all the multiples of that number up to that max. So I'm going to use a classic for loop. I'll call it I equals number. I is smaller or equal to the max, yeah? And then for each iteration, I would like to increase I. Look. So if I is 5 on the first iteration, on the second one, I will be wrong. Look, I'll go 10, of course, right? If my numbers are 5 and 7, the first iteration number will be 5. I will be 5. Is 5 smaller than 23? Yes, probably, right? 5, generally speaking, is smaller than 23. Yeah? Generally speaking. And then what? After the first iteration, I is whatever I was, or this is a shorthand of I equals I plus, yeah? So if I was 5, now will be 10, correct. And then, is 10 smaller than 23? Yes, sometimes. And then, the next iteration will be 10 plus 5. You see, we are getting all the multiples. Yeah? I plus equal number. So then, we can now do multiples dot push I. Yeah, that's it. That's my strategy. But you could have a nested 2 for loops, yeah, whatever you prefer. However, I don't think this will work. Can anyone see why? I'm a bit skeptical.
Because you are not using the number string right now.
Correct. Remember, be careful, be very careful with the data types. Let's evaluate that and see what happens. Oh, you see, it doesn't work. You return an empty array. And then you say, wait a minute, why do I return an empty array? The reason is because that loop is not working fine. It's never doing anything in here. Yeah? Why? Correct. We need to convert everything into a number. Yeah? So we can do that many times. Number here, a number there, many times. However, my proposal is to do something. Before doing anything, first transform everything into numbers. And look at how sexy this is. You can do that. And at the end, you want to do on the other way around because we want to return strings, yeah? So at the end of the journey, we do the same thing on the other way around. We got number, and then we return string of number. To be honest, for readability purposes, I'll rename numbers to string numbers, and that will be, my argument will be string number, just to give a clear idea that I know what I'm doing, yeah, and why I'm doing that. Yeah?
When you do the second mapping,
Yep. Yep.
string of number, that string of number returns, is a string or is it like a object of string?
No, it's a string.
String.
Yeah. It's a pure string. Yeah. Right? So, obviously now, with the max, we still have the problem, right? May not be necessary because JavaScript, blah, blah, blah. But just in case, I like to do that. So, let's see if that works. Set the semicolon. It does work, yeah? It's pretty much it. It's not that complicated. We just need to handle a few things. I'll give you one small hint. Every time you do these things, you get a variable and you want to play a method, you can do something very sexy. Look how I'm going to transform that line. Boom. It does work. Yeah, it does. Of course it works. It's a shorthand. The thing is, no, that's the same. Here you can pass a function. What's our function? Number. So number will be invoked on every iteration. Yeah, it's not magic. It's actually the way JavaScript works. But I find, because we do that very often, and the expert training in every question you are transforming between numbers, strings, and vice versa, it's just simpler. And if we do that, it will obviously work. Yeah. Again, there are multiple ways to solve the problem. We could use reduce again. We could not use reduce at all. I'm not particularly opinionated in here, yeah, but I find this pretty simple.
Before you can make a second function, for example.
Yeah, of course, you can. Yeah, of course, yeah. That's a good, yeah, you can create a new function to handle that complexity. Many different styles. Not against them. Any question? No? So let me quickly check what Luigi and Nico did here. So Nico, you see he's using 2 nested loops, which is completely fine. Yeah. And then
I use a plus instead of a number. I never
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it is. I'll show you. So when transforming from strings to arrays,
I just like it because it's short. That's the main reason.
look, I'll show you an example. So if you have a variable, so let foo equals 56, you can return number like that. Oops, number foo, right? And that will return, you'll see in a second, if the resolution helps me. Oh, come on. So you can see it returns the number. However, there is a shorthand you can do that. Yeah, because this is a shorter way to transform strings into numbers. On the other way around, if you get a number 56 and you want a string, you can do string foo. I believe you can also do foo.toString. Correct? Or you can do, there are many ways. Yeah, you can do foo plus empty string, which is a bit tricky, but it works, as you can see. Or you can use, of course, template literals, right? That's another way to transform numbers into a string. So many different strategies.
No plus foo, right? Only for now.
Say it again?
Plus foo.
Plus foo. No. Plus foo will just return the number, probably. Yes, yeah.
There's no work with this string with this.
What is actually doing plus foo? I mean,
Plus,
adding. What is adding? What means that plus?
it's
What is
not
adding?
adding
One.
it's like an object in type. It's like an
But
object.
it's not adding one.
It's not adding, of course it's not adding 1. No, it's not adding anything. Just transforming. If I put 56, it's transforming. Yeah?
It will be a number. It doesn't add one. It will be 57.
No, why 57?
I mean, 50.
Yeah, this is, Walter, you're getting confused with plus plus. Plus plus adds 1. Yeah? But a single plus adds nothing. What happens if we try to add Walter here? What will that return? Something weird, right? Not a number, which makes sense. You cannot transform Walter into a number. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. I like it. The idea of dealing with different techniques. Yeah. So look at how simple it was for Nico to transform from strings to numbers, and then he just shortened them, and eventually casting transforming to string. And finally, Walter is pretty similar. You see, he's again using 2 nested loops, using explicit number casting, and at the end of the day, he's just using, sorting and then transforming to string. So both solutions are very similar. Nothing to complain about, obviously. Anything else? Luigi, Gamil, any question?
No, thank you.
Cool. So that was it for today, guys. Thank you.
Nice.